Are you undervaluing yourself in podcast interviews? I see this all the time. Experts undervalue the magic that they do with their clients, their knowledge, their process, their tools or superpowers. They all become super generic, lackluster, confusing, or simply just brushed under a rug. They don't talk about their expertise in a way that makes them stand out and differentiate themselves. And I'm not sure if they don't realize it or they simply worry about coming across as bragging or salesy. Either way, it's killing their results that they get from podcast guest appearances and it sabotages their credibility. I want to share a moment from the Story Soundbite Mini Workshop that I did last month because it absolutely stopped me in my tracks. So one of the women that was in the workshop, she works in the financial space and she shared a story about a client who went from worried about losing her home, not enough money to eat, to living life, being financially secure, having dinner with friends. It was unbelievable. It was such a huge transformation. But when she described what she did to create that result, she just kind of fluffed it off and shrugged and said, "Oh, it's just kind of it's custom. It's I just educated her and her daughter about their finances." And I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there because I knew there had to be more to it. She was burying her genius. And so I asked her lots of questions. And this is my area of genius because I was able to pull all this information out of her. And as we unpacked it, here's what emerged. She reviewed her client's entire financial picture, right? She took a detailed inventory of the assets and expenses. She helped her create a clear, realistic budget. She built like future projections and helped her invest and optimize the money that she had. And she supported her in making confident decisions, right? Not emotional ones. That's not custom, it's a process. Now, imagine instead of minimizing what she did, she instead leaned into it and also gave her processes and tools and exercises names. So here's an example. So, first, I take my clients through my financial inventory review so they can clearly see what's working and what's draining them. Then we create a stability budget that supports today and tomorrow. Finally, I mapped out her future using my money freedom projection tool so she can make decisions with confidence, not fear. Same work, right? But it delivers a radically different perception of value when you're in podcast interviews. And that's the part that a lot of people miss. And money, it wasn't just numbers for that client, right? It was safety, it was relief, it was peace of mind, it was the ability to enjoy the present and feel excited about the future. That was the emotional shift in the story. And many experts, they go on podcasts and accidentally devalue themselves by calling their work just like custom, or they don't even name it, or they don't explain it. And when you don't explain it, and when you don't name those processes, tools, or frameworks, the people that are listening to the podcast, they can't picture what it's like to work with you. And so you need to focus on what they do instead of the transformation that it creates. And when that happens, again, listeners just don't picture what it's like to work with you. They don't feel that wow. And so you fade into the background and your results don't come up as in those stories as powerful. And so if your stories or your talking points, think about those. Are they elevating your expertise or are they quietly diminishing them? Now, if you want a clear, honest look at how your interviews are landing and where you might be unintentionally underselling yourself, that's exactly what I do in the interview impact review. I look at your talking points, your call to action, your stories, your topics, even just how you show up and your guest assets and your one sheet. Your brilliance could be hiding in plain sight. Your message could be leaking value, and how you articulate what you do in a way that makes listeners want to take the next step because your work matters and it deserves to be heard. And your content and your message and what it is that you do to help clients, you want that to be portrayed in those podcast interviews. So, if you want me to review one of your podcast guesting episodes and have me do an interview impact review for you, you can go to leverageyourpodcast.com/impact. And I give an 8 to 10 page review and a report and go over it with you in a half-hour meeting and just find like what's working, what's not, what opportunities that you're missing. And again, changing those stories and how you're talking about what it is that you do so that you are valued and showcased as an expert, and help listeners really understand what it is that you do so that you can get more ROI from your podcast guest interviews and create conversations that convert. So go to leverageyourpodcast.com/impact, and I would love to do an interview impact review for you. Take care.